What's up, y'all? It's just Rhonda. Welcome to my channel. Woo, child, I am here. I am here. One day at a time. Listen, when I sat my happy tail outside, taking in all that lovely breeze that was pollen, I had no idea that this many days later I will be still paying for it. What's up, T? I'm here. I'm I'm kindly, slowly but surely, swimming myself from under this water. Um Pollen ain't no joke. I tell you what, like I said, y'all up north are still dealing with winter. In Florida, like end of February, our winter is basically over. We may have another snap, but like today it's gonna be 80 some degrees. So, it's windy and the trees and things are doing what they do. And I'm a morning walker. Haven't took myself outside since, the other day. I went back in, the cold was over. I had a lovely walk and now here I am stuck inside. And I'm tempted to do it, but I feel like I just better leave myself inside until Monday. Y'all like the video, subscribe to the channel. Yeah. So how's y'all's end of the week coming through? We Thursday. Thursday for me is Friday is Sunday. Thursday for me is Sunday. So tomorrow I go back into the salon and I gotta switch gears. And yeah, it's a lovely day in the neighborhood. Aside from me, slowly but surely trying to get my breathing game back on. We're going to talk about some things today. Um, I did a live premiere last night. I just want to shout out Lauren and Ashante from Detroit Season of Ready to Love. We had a ball in the chat last night, and I would love to do some more of that, kind of getting the ladies together to talk about the things. And Shayna was there, Elsid of course was there, and we had a good old time. If you weren't there, catch the replay, and you won't be able to be in the chat, but you will be able to be in the conversation. We're going to start the conversation today with some young greatness. Child, what did I do with my glasses? I took my glasses off as if. We're going to start today with some young greatness, some up and coming. This lovely little lady here. What is her name? 7-year-old Dakota White. These little kids be out here doing the daggone thing. Um, Dakota. I'm trying to pull it up on my phone so I can see it. 7-year-old Dakota White makes history as the fastest kid in America. I'm not surprised she's melanated. Isn't that funny how, as much as they try to downplay us, we out here being, the great. Um, and I'm not saying other people aren't great. I'm just saying they try to downplay our greatness. And so it, I think, shines much brighter when we do things and, prove them wrong. Fastest kid in America. She breaks junior Olympics records with a 100-millimeter relay in just 59 seconds. Holy moly. 59 seconds. How far is that? 100 meters in a minute. I'm not fast, so I don't know how many minutes it would take me to do 100 meters. Let's see. At just 7 years old, Dakota White, a young African American track star from Dallas, Texas, has been crowned the fastest kid in America. She and her Fort Worth Express Track Club teammates set a new national record at the AAU Junior Olympics. Dakota ran the girls' 8 and under 100-meter relay in just 59.08 seconds. I bet you it was fun for her mother chasing her little ass around when she was a child. She's still a child, but a little toddler. Toddlers be fast. I be chasing my grandson around, his big ass head. It don't even seem like he can move that fast, but they be gone. He be running around the house with his arms in the air. And I'm like, hold on a second. She's trained since age 3 by her father, former TCU wide receiver Cam White. Dakota has dominated every competition she's entered, living by her motto, no days off. Now give the girl a little day off. Give the girl a day off, Dad. You don't want to be over here working the girl to. I feel like kids like this, though, it's in them. You know what I'm saying? It's, some kids be like, I don't want to run. And some kids be like, upset when they find out they can't go. So if she's got this kind of talent, obviously her father is an athlete, so that plays into her training. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily her gift, but yeah. Shout out to little Dakota out there doing big things. We'll be looking for her like in the future Olympics. You know, as she grows into high school and college, because you know this is just the beginning for her. She already breaking records. What else is going on? I thought this was cool. So usually these people go over to the Olympics and they be having to pay for their own things. They don't have any money. You know, I've heard athletes talk about how they went over there, came back over, you know, to their respective countries, didn't have no job, didn't have their apartments because they couldn't pay their rent. Um, yeah, she probably doesn't want a day off. I thought about him. Yeah, he gets upset when he can't go play ball. So we need reels and more reels of my boy D, because we want to see him from the beginning all the way to his superstardom. And when he gets to superstardom, I want to see, just like Stefan Diggs' other baby mama. I want to see at the front so I can see what he's doing down there on the field. Billionaire, 100 million donation guarantee every U.S. Olympian, 200,000 per game, whether they win a medal or not. I feel like that is awesome. First of all, they going over, they representing the country. They should not be over there worried about whether they rent gonna be paid when they get back home or whether they're gonna have somewhere to stay. All of this training and things that it takes to get to the Olympics, you already have to be in a certain financial, you know, position in order to even participate or get the proper training. Anyway, billionaires, 100 million gift guarantees, 200K for every U.S. Olympian. A new $100 million donation is set to change the financial future of U.S. Olympics and what is it? Paralympic athletes. Sorry if I got that wrong. Billionaire investors Ross Stevens, founder of Stone Ridge Holdings Group, has created a program that will award every qualifying team USA athlete $200,000 per Olympic game, whether they medal or not. That's some incentive. This initiative began with the upcoming Milan Cortina Games. Athletes will receive $100,000 at the age of 45 or 20 years after their Olympic appearance. Wait, what? I thought we was getting this money right now. Good morning, Egyptian lotus flower. Oh my God. Good morning, lotus Egyptian flower. My brain is still on what you call it? Mucinex. Mucinex and Tylenol, child. That's what I have for breakfast. Anyway, let's go in a little deeper. Athletes will receive $100,000 at the age of 45 or 20 years after their first Olympic appearance, whichever comes later, plus another $100,000 designated as a guaranteed benefit for their families after death. Stevens says the goal is to remove financial insecurity as a barrier to athlete excellence. Well, can we add like another 50,000 or something for them to have while they actually competing? I mean, 45. I mean, you know, some of them are in their 30s. I'm feeling a little bit better. I am. I still sound like I'm underwater, but honey, yesterday I spent all day like, you know, trying to breathe. Yes, read the fine print. I mean, it sounds like a thing. I definitely think it's to be celebrated. I did a story a couple weeks ago about Allen Iverson having a trust fund of 32 million or something like that, you know, that he's going to receive at 50. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's funny. I'm not funny. I think it's fine that they get money in the moment, but it's really important that they have retirement money because a lot of athletes don't have money like in when it matters in the later years. They need something immediately after. I agree. I think this is wonderful, but they definitely need something like right now. That, you know, if somebody says to you, we have this $200,000, we don't even know if this company gonna be still inactive 20 years from now. But anyway, we not going, you know, knock a blessing, but come on, y'all. While the U.S. medalists already received performance bonuses, 37,500 for gold, 22,500 for silver, and 15,000 for bronze, many athletes struggle financially after retiring, often leaving their support in their 20s or early 30s without long-term savings or career experience. The new program aims to provide lasting stability and may also encourage athletes to compete in multiple games where historically many U.S. medals won't be won by returning competitors. I mean, what about the other ones though that don't win medals? The ones that just get there and don't, win. You still like work hard to compete in order to qualify for the Olympics. Clarissa had to go back home to the hood, and the hood still lives in her head, child. I be trying not. I rarely bring up Clarissa, but she make it hard. I feel like there's enough people out there talking about Clarissa and her antics, but yeah, she's hood to her heart. Her pockets is full, but her heart is still hood. And so is her head. Compared to countries like Russia, China, Australia, which offer pensions or retirement payments, the U.S. has lagged in post-career athlete support. I feel like that's what the U.S. does. They don't care about you afterwards. Ask all these veterans running around here trying to figure out how they gonna feed their families or themselves, and they done went and fought for the country in wars. Shoot. Historic gifts. What does it say? Sorry. The U.S. has lagged in post-career athlete support. Stevens' historic gift, the largest in U.S. Olympic Committee history, seeks to close the gap and ensure America's athletes are rewarded not just for winning medals, but for dedicating their lives to representing the country. I wish they would have said it different. I wish they would have said retirement plan, because they're making it sound like this is something that's happening in the current. Give me my 200 thou wow. I don't need 100,000 for my family members. You let me decide how much the people get. You know what I'm saying? I'm the one that went over here and worked hard to compete in this Olympics. So you don't need to worry about my $100,000 after death fund, child. Why are we taking care of people? What if I don't like those people? What if I only got a few people that I want to take care of, like my children or whatever? Anyway, it's good to know that these people have a retirement fund, but we would like to see all these athletes go over there and be taken care of financially. So maybe we can rework that a little bit. You could take the girl out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the girl. Whew, that Clarissa child. Not too much lotus Egyptian flower, because T be over here punching the air in defense of that Clarissa. She a Flint girl, and we have to stick together. That's why I don't really spend too much time. I'll be tempted, but I don't never really go do no stories on Clarissa, because like I said, other folks is gonna do it, and I don't want to be out here, have my folks upset over, at home. Whew. What else? It's just a lot of money stories going on over here. So these ladies over here down to the WNBA, they said you can cancel Christmas. We do not care, because unless you pay us, they over here wearing T-shirts. Pay us what you owe us. Even they fave. What's her name? Caitlin Clark. T said, "Don't do my homegirl." See what I'm saying? Lotus Egyptian flower. We have to tread lightly over here when it relates to Clarissa, but we not gonna we're not going to dismiss the fact that the hood still lives in her through and through, very deeply. Yeah. Pay us what you owe us. Yes, you should, because the WNBA, this particular group of girls that are playing in the last couple of years, shout out to my girl Angel Reese, have definitely put the eyes on the NBA, and the way they make money compared to the way the WNBA versus the NBA, the way the women make so much less money than the men do is ridiculous. And so this is what they're saying over here. They say tensions are rising around the WNBA season as labor negotiations between the league and its players intensify, sparking concerns about potential cancellation if a deal cannot be reached. At the center of the dispute is revenue sharing. The WNBA players are reportedly pushing for 27.5% of total league revenue as part of a new collective bargaining agreement. Player representatives argue that with the leagues experiencing record visibility, high attendance, major media rights growth, and increased corporate sponsorship, athletes deserve a significantly larger share of the financial upside. Many players have publicly emphasized their role in driving the league's recent momentum and cultural relevance. They have. They absolutely have. We ain't talked about them so much since Lisa Leslie and them was out here. And they darn near got kids old enough to play in the WNBA now. The league officials, however, have pushed back on the proposal, calling the percentage unrealistic. According to ownership groups, agreeing to that level of revenue sharing could result in hundreds of millions of dollars in cumulative losses for teams over time. Executives arguing while revenue has grown, operational costs, travel, investments, marketing expenses, and expansion efforts continue to strain profitability. Some owners claim the league is still in a long-term growth phase rather than operating at sustained high-margin profitability. The standoff highlights a broader conversation happening across professional sports: how to balance rapid growth with fair player compensation. The WNBA has seen unprecedented media attention and rising star power, but questions remain about how revenue is calculated, what percentage is sustainable, and how to protect the league's financial future while rewarding athletes' feeling and success. I think I call bullshit. I'm sorry. Y'all got it. What's the counter offer then? If you're not gonna offer me something else, 27.5 is on the table. What is y'all saying? Not we ain't got it. What do you have? Make it make sense. As negotiations continue, fans, sponsors, and media partners are watching closely. A canceled season would represent a major setback at a time when the league appears to be gaining historic momentum. For now, both sides remain to be at the table, but the outcome could shape the future of women's professional basketball for years to come. I say hold out, ladies, hold out, because can't nothing move without y'all, first of all. Second of all, I heard Angel say, and shout out to Angel. She got her podcast. She's a Victoria's Secrets Angel officially. She's going to be on the second season of Hunting Wives. She's out here marketing herself as an individual. Vogue covers and things of that nature. I think they need to go ahead and start trying Reebok contract. So, they're going to have to stand up for themselves. And the only way they can do it, go on strike, y'all. Take that break if they can't do it. Caitlin, this is your league. They want to make you the spokesperson of things. Stand up. Say something. I want to see Caitlin Clark open her mouth everywhere she goes, as far as media is concerned, and speak on this. Because I feel like Caitlin gets a lot of accolades for being a good basketball player, but she keep her mouth shut when it's time to talk about issues. So, this is y'all's girl, Stephen A. Smith. Call your girl over here. Discuss this with her. You know what I'm saying? I don't like women's basketball, but them girls had me glued to the TV when they was in college. I've been watching some of the professional season. And like you said, they had you glued to the television. Who had you glued to the TV? Angel? They really don't want to give her credit. Stand up, because they really be having more money than they claim to have. I don't believe for a single second that they don't have it. Maybe 27.5 ain't what they really want to share. But y'all better come up with something, because these girls be out there working hard, and just like any other athlete, they putting their health, not necessarily their physical health. They're putting their physical health on the line, where they're like, just like any other athlete, you got ankles and wrists, and you're susceptible to get hurt at any time. I need to know that if I'm not able to keep playing basketball, I have a $200,000 pension fund set up for me for when I'm 45. Just saying. Say something, WNBA, because if y'all don't say something and you lose this group of girls that are here right now, then y'all gonna fall off and you'll be right back to square one. So, you better ride this momentum and pay these girls what you owe them. What they say? Pay us what you owe us. There we go. Huh. Some other money problems over here. Have y'all been to Essence Fest? I've never been to Essence Fest. Um, it looked like I might not get a chance to go based on what the people are saying over here. Essence Fest organizers are 456K behind on their bills from their 2025 event, according to records from the city of New Orleans. A local production company is also allegedly owed $1 million. So that's 1,456,000 in the hole. How did this happen? Just from last year? Did anybody go last year? Are we still going to Essence Fest? Like I said, I've never been. I've never been to New Orleans, but I want to go. Not necessarily for Essence Fest, but I mean, I could work that out too. How do we fix this? Shoot, the WNBA talking about they ain't got it. Don't seem like Essence Fest got it. Public records obtained by NOLA.com show that the Ernest N. Memorial Convention Center says Sundial Media Group, the New York company, New York is over here in New Orleans and they ain't paying their bills. The New York company that owns Essence Festival, How is that? A New York company owns Essence Festival. That's weird, Anyway, owes $456,000 from last year's Essence Festival. The amount represents more than half of the total charges for several days of programming, including panels, workshops held over the 4th of July weekend. After the balance became public, officials confirmed that Sundial made a $50,000 payment, reducing the outstanding total to about $406,000. That's a long ways away from $400,000. You say your cousin went and said everything was so expensive. If everything was expensive, thank you. If everything was expensive, then where did the money go? You know what I'm saying? And I mean, expensive. I feel like these days when you go somewhere, you should expect things to be expensive. That's why I said I don't have to go like during Essence Fest. I'm past that age where now I might do Miami Jazz in the Gardens because I could like go stay where I want to stay in Miami and like roll through and see what's up. You know what I'm saying? But I'm past that age, and the even the talent, the celebrity, the entertainment that they have. Like I like Meg Thee Stallion. I'm probably not going to go see her. You know what I'm saying? So that means a lot of people didn't get paid. I'm just saying, like, if that, a lot of people went and participated and they still waiting on their money. $50,000 doesn't really put a dent in 400. Let's not forget about the million. $50,000 doesn't really put a dent in $1,456,000. Convention center policy requires events to pay their balances within 30 days. Well, we in 2026 now, child. In a statement, the convention center said it has a long-standing partnership with the festival and is continuing to work with its current ownership to settle the remaining debt. Separately, a source familiar with the matter claims the company also owes more than $1 million to a local production company. Sundial disputed that allegations and declined to share specific figures regarding what it may owe vendors. See, the vendors still waiting on their money, and the vendors are generally people that don't have a lot of money. They were charging $500 to get in clubs that weekend. Honey, I am the party. We can come to my hotel room, pop a few bottles, and the party is on. I've never gone to Essence Fest. Me either, Egyptian lotus flower. Lotus Egyptian flower. Girl, I'm a butcher your name all day today. I've never gone to Essence Fest. I don't want to go under these new leadership. They want us to make the money to take the event to Nigeria on our own dime. Is that what they're doing? They took the money and went on a vacation to Nigeria? I feel like in most situations, I'm not a production, but I have done, events and things, not in any way close to this level. But any event that I've ever done, I've had to pay 50% up front, and then the other 50% gets paid right before. You know what I'm saying? When you book the venue, they ask for their 50%, and then right before the day of your event, then they want their other 50%. So, I don't know like how you get 1,450,000 in the hole. Most people were participating outside activities. Well, hopefully they got their money. Like I said, I never been, so I don't have anything. Shoot, I personally would like to go off season when it's not crazy, where I can go eat at the restaurants that because I'm there for the food and the witchery of it all. I want to go see some, what's her name? T. LeBeau from uh what is that show that Angela Bassett was? Dennis wants to move Essence Fest to Nigeria. Who is Dennis? How are we getting to Nigeria? That doesn't even make sense. Essence Fest is yes, Marie LeBeau. I want to go see Marie LeBeau and eat some food. I don't really care about all the rest of the stuff that, Essence Fest has to offer because, like I said, I have outgrown it. Who is Dennis? Lotus Egyptian Flower. Not Dennis, not Portia Baby Daddy. Are we talking about Portia Baby Daddy? Because he's out here making productions and things. It says as Essence Fest prepares to request additional funding from Louisiana lawmakers for its 2026 event, the unpaid balances could present a challenge. You think? State Rep Jack McFarland, who's led the House Appropriations Committee, said events that receive state funding are expected to meet their financial obligations. I know that's right, regardless of which event it is. I can't even be mad at that. We're not going to make the state be in the hole of $1,456,000 because y'all can't get y'all's act together. I feel like hell, it probably cost that much just to get Meg Thee Stallion to perform and whoever else they had over there. Despite the financial questions, festival organizers reaffirmed their commitment to New Orleans, highlighting the event's economic impact. Representatives said the 2025 festival generated an estimated $46.2 million in tax revenue and described their ties to the city as strong. They also noted that payments are being managed through a formal agreement and confirmed that the planning for the 2026 festival is already in progress with returning vendors. If they're planning to come back, they must have got their money. So I don't know who's holding the deficit, but maybe it's time to just get another company. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe it would take multiple production companies to make this happen. I don't know. Because like I said, I've never been. So I don't know what their program is. But how y'all planning a party? It's February. We're, 1 foot into March. And y'all are planning 2026 Essence Fest? That's so far behind. Doesn't it seem like this is a huge event? Doesn't it seem like these things should have been being finalized right now? Like they should be wrapping up the planning of this event. I feel like, hell, by March, come on. It's going to be raggedy then. I'm not having a good feeling about it. So much like every other year, I won't be going back or at all because it don't seem like they have their shit together. And I'm not paying $500. Well, I don't go to clubs anymore. I've aged out of that for sure. But I feel like, if it's such a huge event, there should be things that, for all the ages, like the panels and all of that stuff might be interesting. Richie Lou Dennis is the executive chairman of Sunday Media, which owns Essence Fest. He's from Nigeria. Well, I won't say what I'm thinking. Wendy, Eddie, y'all have these reputations. So is Simon from Nigeria? I'm just saying, maybe we should. How does somebody from Nigeria own Essence Fest? Huh, that's wild. Y'all gonna have to call it something else and do it different, but let's just cancel 26. Let's just cancel 2026, get this thing right, because I don't feel comfortable with anybody planning no humongous event like Essence Fest and then saying that they're planning it for a couple few months from now. That doesn't even make sense. It sounds like you said, Lotus Egyptian flower. It sounds like a scam. Dennis, not Dennis Portia's daddy, but Dennis from Nigeria. It's a lot of money things going on. This story kind of it makes me sad. This poor woman here, they want us to, get up and get out and do something, but then, they want to hold us down at the same time. Michigan woman is facing a 10-year felony charge for using her food stamps card to buy ingredients to grow her baking business. What? That sounds crazy to me. A Michigan woman, Talia C. Oh my goodness, Tinique, 32, has been charged with a felony food stamps fraud after prosecutors allege she used her SNAP Bridge card benefits totaling over $1,000 to buy baking ingredients and resell the goods online. Reports say she ran this as a small business between January 2022 and September 2023. If convicted, she faces up to 10 years in prison and $250,000 fine. Her case comes as Michigan reported more than $14 million in SNAP fraud for the 2024 fiscal year, putting a spotlight on how states enforce rules around public assistance. Critics argue this was less about fraud and more about survival entrepreneurship. I wonder if she was non-melanated, would it be an issue? Or would they just have canceled her benefits? If that. A woman trying to build her own way out of poverty through baking. Supporters of the prosecution say rules are rules and bending them threatens the program's integrity. There is no integrity in the program, so let's don't say that. Should using SNAP benefits to start a small business be treated as fraud or survival entrepreneurship? Did she qualify? Clearly she qualified for the benefits. So how much was the ingredients? That just doesn't make sense to me. It's okay to let it go. Do you mean the Essence Fest? I think so. I think they should just let it go and go back to the drawing board and replan for a different time. Oh, he's from Liberia. I mean, okay, Liberia, Nigeria. Yeah, this is terrible. I feel like the whole point of assistance is just that it's assistance. If she had qualified for the assistance, you know what I'm saying? Then she used the money to bring herself out of the situation. I don't know, like you got to report your income. So maybe she didn't report her income, but I feel like I don't know what the details are. I do know that 10 years to that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Puff didn't even get 10 years, and he was over there trafficking and all the nefarious things he was doing. Cut her benefits. I feel like that's punishment enough. Clearly, lady, you're making enough money to, sustain on your own. So you don't qualify for the benefits anymore. You said, let's see. The Middle Eastern people have filled their shelves with food stamps, then turn around and sell the food 3 times the cost. They have done this for years. I saw the other day that Governor Gavin over there in California is going to allow people to sell food out of their house. That's going to be legal. And I mean, I guess there could be the notion of we don't know what the people doing in their houses, but we don't know what they're doing inside, Burger King and all of that. When then the DoorDash people is wiping their shoes on your food. So if you have a neighborhood lady that's selling tacos or what have you, so they can make ends meet, I just think this is just horrible that this lady is, trying to turn her hardship into success, and the punishment is 10 years. That she's facing, or 250,000. I think it has more to do with, like they said, they just want to destroy her entrepreneurial spirit because she's melanated. So T, that's Michigan. I mean, Florida got their own things, but this is a Michigan thing. I feel like it would be the same anywhere though. Um, it'll be legal until we start making too much money for them. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because I think for them, they want to see us just like they did over the holiday. I feel like that whole thing was about control. You take away the benefits right around the holiday, get people all in a panic, and then give it back to them in hopes that they will now look at you like, oh my God, thank you. You saved us all from, starvation when really they're the reason why you're in this position. Um, Not everybody is out there, you know, looking to bring us down. We hear a lot of things about the Smith family, but this young man always has his name in a positive places. People want to be like, he's wearing a skirt, and what is going on with him? But he, was over there supplying water to cities that have issues with the water. Now he has a different plan. Jayden Smith says he wants to open a Skid Row building serving free breakfast, lunch, and dinner daily. Hopefully you ain't on food stamps. They'll be like, oh no, you can't go over there and get actual breakfast because you didn't claim it on your application. Um, Jayden Smith is thinking long term when it comes to fighting hunger in Los Angeles, and he's ready to plant permanent roots on Skid Row. Honestly, my dream in life is to have a building on Skid Row where I can give out free meals every single day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, he said. I can do things inside of it. I can create jobs and like a good vibe. That's my real dream. That's my long-term goal, he explained on social media. He gonna have to include some mental health because a lot of people over there on Skid Row, are dealing with other issues, but good for him. Smith explains that while his I Love You vegan food truck has been serving unhoused residents since 2019, he wants something more permanent. We don't have a brick and mortar store right now. We don't have a place that we can be set up at all times, but I want to have that, and I want the community to help us get there in the future. So that's the plan. For Jayden, the mission is to clear a building space that feeds people daily and creates opportunity in the process. I think this is a great idea. I think it can be done um, if the community works together. I love that his spirit has always been, about helping, giving back to the community. He could probably, hopefully, inspire some of his peers. He's in a peer group with millionaire children, the Jenners and the Kardashians, and so many more. So shout out to Jayden. We, like I said, want to focus on who Will Smith might be bending over the chair, which matters not to me. I really don't care what Jada and Will are over there doing, but this young man has been involved in community since he's been an adult, from what I can tell. You know what I'm saying? I don't really ever hear anything negative about him. And like I said, people want to tear him down. And when I say people, I mean toxic or homophobic people that want to carry on about, Louis Vuitton put him in a skirt. And they're trying to like bring down, the black man, and this right here, what he's doing in terms of giving back to his community, that's to me shows what a man does. So I don't really care what he's wearing for Louis Vuitton. Good job, Jayden. Not everybody is like Jayden. Let's go ahead and get into this fool here. Now I'm gonna have to share y'all. So Cam Newton just continuously disappoints. He just always got, oh, I got everything set up, except I don't have everything set up. He constantly opening his mouth and sounded damn ridiculous. I heard that the sports show that he had, which, honestly, I prefer he just talk about sports, but I heard that the sports show got canceled, so that won't be a thing. Um, But he's over here opening and running his mouth. He's so obsessed and focused with marriage. Like, just don't get married. Nobody married Cam Newton.
That answer is women's value get lower the more children that they have. And I was having this conversation, with one of the mother of my children, and she's still fine. But like I was telling her, I was like, yo, the guy that you're dating or will date, if he ain't willing to love on these 5 children that you have, that ain't the guy for you. Because when I came into your life, I was willing to accept you and whatever you had.
Mm.
And there's guys that's out there that's just going to say, them ain't my kids. I want you. Well, that ain't how it worked.
Mm.
But that's not to say that she can't find nobody.
Right.
I'm pretty sure she has somebody.
Right. But do you feel like it's as the best that she could possibly do if she didn't have children?
Well, you're talking to a dude that was once in her life. I don't feel like she's going to get better than me. That's just my confidence.
I don't even think it's confidence. I have said, and I might get eaten alive, I don't think most women do better than the father of their children.
The reality of that answer is women's value get lower the more children that they have. And I was having this conversation, with one of the mother.
Women's value gets lower the more children that they have. That's according to Cam Newton. What does he consider value? Because as far as I can see, Cam Newton really has no value except for the amount of money in his bank account. You say you used to like Cam Newton. Is that before he started opening his mouth? You liked him when he was just playing football? I used to like Cam Newton, but I've come to my senses that he's full of ish. Yeah, he is full of shit. That doesn't make any sense. They sit here and try to act like for women, our only value is the fact that we can bear children. You know what I'm saying? That's what they would like for us to believe. But according to Cam Newton, there is no value in women based on the more children that they have, which is a complete contradiction to what his core values are as, a supposedly Christian man. What if she got her own money? What if she got as much money as you? You know what I'm saying? What if she has as much money? What if she gets blessed in this lifetime? This is one of your baby mothers. Mind you, he has 9 children. And how many women? 3 women? 3 women? 3 baby mamas? 9 children? Hey, Elsid. Elsid said like, share, and subscribe. So what is his value? Does his value go down based on the amount of children he has? I mean, does it not go both ways? Or is it just women? Because I'm trying to figure out, the way he's saying it is, she's never going to get anybody better than him. Because why? Because of his money? She should be sitting up there regretting the day she ever met this man. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not. He's talking about the first mother. The first mother had children prior to him. I can't remember how many. I know there's 4 or 5 over there. And then there's some random woman. I don't mean she's a random. I mean random that he had a baby with some woman, I think, while he was with the first one. He doesn't marry any of these women. And then, of course, we got Jasmine over there that's willing to bend over and let him violate her anal with his thick old thighs, even though she doesn't like it. What you say, T? You can say the same thing for men. Women don't want a man with a bunch of kids either. Dealing with all them baby mamas. Yeah, he's got several. Or, shout out to your boy Nick Cannon. We talked about him last night. Cam literally has he does have he doesn't have any personality. He's, basically, attractive, but not with those Tweedlebuds in his hair and the ugly fashions that he puts on. His attitude stinks. His personality is trash. So what is he bringing to the table? He ain't sharing none of his money because not poor Jasmine, because she's over there trying to convince us that she loves it, even though she said over on somebody else's podcast that if the $1 million man didn't have no $1 million, she wouldn't have been looking for him. Men get stars, women get things. Stars from who though? El said, like from each other, because what's his name? From Ready to Love Philly, Naeem came over there with 3 baby mamas and 5 kids, and the women were like, "Oh no, Absolutely not. So, I don't know. I know this man Cam Newton is trash, and if his only way of measuring things, it seems like it's money. So if his baby mama, because that's what he refers to her, I guess, um, if she became a millionaire, like with more millions than him, her children are getting older now, so it's not like she's got a bunch of little babies running around. I don't think so. Child, we over here discussing ignorance. Um, anyway, we gonna move away from Cam. So just know, uh, that's bullshit. I think your value is based on how you carry yourself, how you live your life, how you present yourself, and if you're blessed to have children, how you raise them and how they, show up in life. So my goal is I have 3 children. If they're good people, then I've done my job. The rest of the choices that they make is on them. I can't make the choices for them for the rest of their life. But if they're not trash people, if they're genuinely good people, I feel like as a parent, I won the game. Um, the game said the same thing to Shanice. Well, I watched bits and pieces of that. Was it me, or was it like Evelyn was over there flirting with him right in Shanice's face? And Shanice comes across kind of slow. I'm sorry, but the way she was sitting up there, she didn't even know nothing about this man. And she over there, I don't know what she thought, but yeah, he said when a man see a woman, I'm not gonna be able to quote him verbatim, but he pretty much said, a men will see an attractive woman and then think I want to put a baby in her, and I guess that's it. And that's why we have to take control of our own lives. If you want a baby, if you want to be a mother, make those types of decisions. And if you want a husband, then you're gonna have to, go beyond whatever Cam Newton in the game is over there talking about. Um, yeah, Evelyn was flirting with that man, and it was really gross. She feels like one of those mothers that is maybe jealous of her daughter. It was giving Maury, mom and daughter getting the same man. She even was like, well, we talk all the time. I don't talk to my daughter's boyfriend. Like, we don't be calling each other or texting each other. I don't honestly, I don't even have his phone number. If I need something, messages go through her. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand. What is he talking to Evelyn about? It's weird. Did y'all watch the documentary about Tyra the tyrant? Oh, Tyra Banks was over here. She didn't have anything to do with the documentary per se. Let me see what the people said when it, as it relates to Tyra being involved. And she was looking real psycho. She been looking kind of crazy lately anyway. But this was, she got that crazy look in her eye. American Next Top Model documentary director says series would have happened regardless of Tyra Banks. Um, Tyra Banks may be the front and center Netflix reality check inside of America's Next Top Model, but the director says the series moving forward with or without her. Co-directors Daniel Savan and Maura Lousy revealed the docuseries examined behind-the-scenes controversies from America's Next Top Model was happening regardless of Banks' participation. Lousy told The Warp, this documentary was happening regardless if she was giving an interview or not, and she decided she did want to share her side of the story. Lousy added, I'm very happy that she decided that she did because it gave the opportunity to really go deep into the debates, into the start of the idea, and not by a third person, but from Tyra herself, to really hear the journey that she's been through. Is that what it was? Savon noted that there was a topic Bank refused to address: the status of her friendship with former Judge Jay Manuel. The fact that she said, "I don't want to talk about it," is a powerful answer. It wasn't dodging the bullet. It wasn't dodging the bullet. It wasn't saying, this is still painful, he said. According to the Warp, Banks had no editorial control over the series and did not see the final cut before it debuted Monday on Netflix. Now streaming on the doc revisits controversies including Shandy Sullivan's on-screen sexual assault, multiple instances of blackface, and Banks' infamous "We were all rooting for you" outburst at Tiffany Richardson. While some former models and judges have been commended for speaking out, many online viewers remain critical of Banks' appearance. Was Reality Check a NTM documentary meant to help Tyra Banks clear her name? Because I don't know if it did. One viewer wrote on X. Another posted on Threads. Tyra Banks should have passed on the documentary. She can barely even pretend to give 2 ounces of. Oh, by my God. What y'all over here saying? J.E. I thought the same thing. J.E. Manuel's fillers are dropping him. I hate that he did that. I did not like the fillers. But you can't tell these Hollywood peoples what to do. Jay has always been so cute. Tyra did those models wrong by treating them exactly how she was treated, yet saying she did not. Sherry, oh yeah, was essay, then trying to play it off. Disrespectful. How could they not visit? How could she not? Okay, we gonna get into all those things. Telling is that none of these girls have made it from the show. Well, there's a reason for that too. So let's get into these girls first. Ebony was from season 1, and she was just bullied on that season. They asked her, they basically outed her in front of camera saying, "You're a lesbian, right? Can we talk about that?" And this is not a conversation that was happening here. This was, 2014, 2015. I remember watching this show. I was an adult. I wasn't a teenage girl, but I was also like in the height of my career in the beauty industry. So this show was right up my alley, and had the opportunity, not from this show, but the mall that I worked in the salon in Orlando, we did the judge's hair from Project Runway. I had the opportunity to blow dry Nina Garcia, my coworker Paula. What was the other one? Not Paula. The one that was married to Harvey Weinstein. The baby oil bullying. Yes. So they told this girl that she was ashy. And first of all, we're not going to pretend like darker complected women don't already, have to deal with bullying on a regular basis just in regular life. But then when you get in a situation where, the ideal woman is tall, thin, and blonde, and then to tell her she had a buzz cut, they had, and that was a problem with me too back then. They always had these white people doing the black girls' hair. And the black girls, unless they had soft, wavy, textured hair, always came out looking busted. The weaves was busted. Because to me, if you go in, I can't remember who it was, but they had the girl's weave so tight she was crying. They had to take it back out. That's not on the model. That's on the hairstylist. It just felt like Tyra had access to the top, beauty, makeup and hair art, makeup artists and hairstylists, and they were all like busted. They were talking crap while she was getting her hair cut, like laughing and making jokes. And these are not grown women that are fully confident. These are young women who are still like, I don't know, living in their insecurities, regardless to, how beautiful you are. You're in a place, I would say Ebony is in a place, because different than Danny, who was always my favorite. Danny was my favorite top model contestant throughout all of the seasons. But Ebony, who is extremely beautiful. We got to change the standard of beauty. But when you coming in there as a young girl in an industry that is not like bigging up your beauty, then you're living in your insecurities. And pretty girls are insecure too, regardless of what people think. Eva was your fave. Eva went on to do other things, and has made a career for herself. But Eva is also a light skinned woman with wavy textured hair and green eyes. So the opportunity for her was always going to be there. You know what I mean? Anyway, not to take away from her skills and talent. I'm just saying, what was Lauren talk about pretty privilege? I think Eva is definitely benefiting from pretty privilege, and Eva is a go getter, so she was gonna go get hers. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, but I don't think she went in there necessarily with the same insecurities. Um, that made me mad to see those white women mock ebony hair they were using. How come they didn't just give her like clean her up? Why didn't they just take her to a barber, let her get a buzz cut, maybe like give her some beautiful, stunning red tone or something, you know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't so much you was gonna do to her hair anyway, and with her face, I don't think it needed anything else. And this was the first season. You don't never really want to go on the first season of anything because they don't have anything worked out. They just, you're at an experiment for Tyra, And I feel like, looking at it now and watching Tyra go in there, she went in there with a chip on her shoulder. She was saying that she went in there to change, the image of beauty. But if looking at it now, even with the watching her commentary, she went in there to get back at the people that did her wrong. Tyra had no real connections. She could have pulled Elgin Charles, and he had well known back in the day. What's the girl Kimberly? What she had her own show. She could Derek J. Miss. There was plenty of people that she could have gone to. You know what I'm saying? Because when America's Next Top Model started, it was post my life in Atlanta. So I know there was plenty of well-known black hairstylists that she could have gone to. Homeboy, Stacy's friend from Potomac is a hairstylist, I believe, that had his own show. There's so many other people. She could have given opportunities to so many other stylists, you know what I'm saying? But she didn't do that. She did not. She took no accountability for anything. As a matter of fact, she came off crazier than she was she came off crazier than she did before. The documentary showed me that Tyra's moral compass is off. She's a dark field with nowhere to go. Yeah. And I think, it's always been there. When I used to watch the show, it wasn't so much. Some of the stuff I thought was stupid, the photo shoots and things. I was like, that's crazy. But my favorite part was always the pictures. You know what I'm saying? You see the pictures of your faves and you're like, oh, that picture was good. I always like to see the pictures in the end. The bullying, the back behind the scenes stuff kind of, it's made for good TV, I guess, but I feel the same way about Project Runway. I want to see the designs. I don't care about how these two people don't like each other. If that makes it entertaining, I guess. But I really on Top Model, I love to see the pictures. I like to see them getting their pictures taken. And then things got kind of weird, there was one model on there who shared with them. That's the thing. And I think it's the same with all these reality shows. You have these interviews where they're asking you questions, and that's where they catch you up. So for anybody looking to go into doing a reality show, if you're doing an interview show, if you want to be salacious, make up a story. Don't tell them about your real life, because they will take, the thing that's, really difficult or traumatizing in your life and use it against her. They had a model on there that her mother had been shot by her domestic partner, and she was in a wheelchair because of it. And then the photo shoot for this girl was to be in a wheelchair shot. That's morbid. And they said Tyra was 100% behind those ideas, even though she said Kim Kimball, that's who it was. They said she didn't, Tyra claims, I didn't have anything really to do with the creative. That's her trying to put it off on Mr. J. But yeah. So let's talk about Shandy and that experience. That was so hard to watch. I feel like it was harder to watch now than it was back then. So this girl, and this is what Shandy looks like now, but back then, and I feel like, maybe, her weight is a direct result of that trauma that she went through as a model. Um, yeah, they keep some models longer before because of their story. So Shandy, this was what, season 2. Shandy went. This is they traveled. Not only are you not at your regular home, this is some girl that works at a Walgreens in some town in America, and she goes and she thinks this opportunity is about to change her life. It did, not in the way she thought. She came over there with a boyfriend, and they took her to do this. In the final girls over out of the country, and after the shoot, they invited the male models back to the apartment. That shouldn't have even been a thing, as far as I'm concerned. That should not have been a thing. We're not going to invite any male models back to the apartment, but we're trying to make good TV. And that made zero impact, I feel like, on any of us as far as the show is concerned, having the boys come back over there. Then they ply these young girls with alcohol. So now you have somebody who's out of her element. She's an awkward girl. She looks like a model, not in her real life, but you get a glam team and a great photographer. Now all of a sudden she was very thin and tall, so she had all of the recipe for what the world saw as ideal. You know what I'm saying? And so she drinking a lot of alcohol. One thing about wine, you don't feel it until it's almost over. She sat up here, she's drank this wine. Now she's blackout drunk. Nobody. You go out with your girls, and I don't know what these girls were doing over there either, but there was none of these girls that was like, no, she's too drunk. Nobody looked out for her. They let her go blackout drunk into a room with that man, and they filmed it. And then I don't know what they called it cheating. They called it cheating on her boyfriend, when what we saw, and they aired it, was SA. That's what we saw. And like I said, it was so much harder to watch in this documentary than it was back then, because now we know exactly what was going on. I feel like it may have been uncomfortable then, but now, I'm looking with far more mature eyes. Yeah. And I feel like alcohol, there was a lot of alcohol involved in this show. It looks like they brought men around to violate the girls on more than one occasion. Absolutely. Because I remember Lisa was somebody who already had a bit of an alcohol problem. And then they got her over there and got her drunk, and she was in a diaper, and it was all bad. And I feel like when you have these situations with these young girls, there should be somebody there to look out. You know what I'm saying? To make sure this doesn't happen. We over here because we want to see our favorite win the cover girl contract. All that other stuff, the cattiness, it can be a little bit entertaining for TV, because that's what happens when you get a bunch of girls together. But this was far beyond. Y'all filmed this girl. Nobody thought it was a great idea to stop it. So as much as Jay Emanuel even said they got a call saying Shandy was having sex with somebody in a shower or in the bathroom or something like that. And nobody thought it was a good idea to say, make it stop, kick them out. It's enough. That's over. And Tyra is sitting up here acting like, had no idea. I not play any part of production. Then after this girl wakes up and realizes how horrible things were, she didn't remember that. She woke up knowing that she was violated. Tyra then has a round table conversation about how you cheat on your boyfriend, or don't cheat, or did you cheat, and make her feel even worse. Then have her call this man while it's being filmed, only to hear him crashing out. Then, Tyra just kept going and going, invites her on a show, and the girl said, I've never watched it, I've never wanted to see it. Invites her on the show and plays the clip just for her to have to be suffering through it again and again. Yes, Tyra further shamed her about the cheating conversation. The way Tyra was sitting up there with that look on her face was crazy. Danny was, like I said, was my favorite from all the seasons, and I was just so proud of the way she carried herself. the way she represented herself, and them trying to get her to do close her gap. Tyra is evil. You know what's funny? I think it is with Tyra. We always saw what's her name? Naomi. We always saw Naomi as the evil one. I remember Tyra, who secretly hated Naomi. I think this is part of Tyra's problem. Tyra was the goofy girl. Nobody really wanted to be bothered with her like that, like that. Then she was traveling with her mother. So the girls were probably like, here she come with her mama. Which, I mean, kudos to her mother, because I wouldn't be sending my daughter over to travel and do all of that stuff by herself. So that part was not bad. But she wanted to be a part of the cool girls. She's still not. She's still not one of the cool girls. Even watching this, Tyra made an appearance on the current season of Fresh Prince. What do they call it? They call it Bel Air. And she was cringy on there too. But Tyra, she has the success of America's Next Top Model. She's got her talk show. She wants to rub it in Naomi's face. So she had a show with Naomi. No studio audience. This was her moment to get back at Naomi for, look at me now. You wouldn't be nice to me back then, but look at me now. And Naomi got on that show and was like, for real? Is that what happened? Oh, I don't remember. So whatever she was trying to do with Naomi, it fell flat. And, much like, what happened over here. I had her picture, but I didn't pull it up. But Tiffany was like probably the most iconic scene. We see it over and over and over again. We were rooting for you. We were rooting for you. And when you look at it, you see Tiffany not having a bad attitude. Like, she's known for, she got booted the first time for fighting and drinking. Again, alcohol, you know what I'm saying? From the first time that she was on, they brought her back. And you talk about a girl from Miami, a hood girl from Miami. You want to polish her up. And so when Tiffany got eliminated, she was pretty much like, it's okay, guys. Don't, she wasn't throwing no tantrum. She was actually being a good sport. But Tyra was upset because she didn't get the reaction she wanted. She wanted this girl to be broke down in tears and, oh my God, isn't it about trying for my whole life? And she didn't do that. She's like, it's okay. It's fine. I'll be fine. And then Tyra, like a crazy person, reamed this girl, and they sat there and said it was far worse than what we saw. I'm rooting for you. I've never screamed at a girl like this. Well, what is she screaming down for? Because you the one kicked her off, and she did nothing. So let's talk about these judges right quick. Jay Emanuel was Tyra's best friend. So Jay, by the way, Adrian Curry, the winner of first season, came out and said none of these models got paid for doing this documentary, but they paid the judges. So they still getting their check. And so I'm going to still hold their feet to the fire just a tad. You know what I'm saying? Jay, you saw things going on, but Tyra was your best friend, and you decided that you were going to back up Tyra. The young girl, I can't remember her name, but she had the bone structure, the cheekbones, her jawline was so strong, and she was over there in Africa. They were in Africa, and she had the male models dancing up on her, and she was very uncomfortable with the way the guy was dancing on her. She stopped to say, hold on, I'm uncomfortable. He's like breathing on me. She was not disrespectful in the way she approached the situation. Jay, you could have stood in right then. You could have walked over there and said, let's don't, get too close to the ladies. We're barely dressed over here. There was a way for you to step in and protect her, but you did not. You told her like she was unprofessional. We're all standing here. There's photographers and on set. There's plenty of people on set. That doesn't negate the fact that the girl felt uncomfortable enough to say, this boy is doing too much. So your job, since he said his job was there to look out for the girls, was to look out for her. He chose not to do that. So you don't get to fall back, with clean hands now and say, Tyra, no, you were there, I feel like, more than anyone, as a man of color, back in Tyra's bullshit when you knew it was wrong. And I feel like a lot of wrong stuff happened. The straw for you was when she put the white models in blackface, and I think that had less to do with the models and more to do with how you felt like you were going to look because you were the creative director at that time. So, I hear what you're saying, Jay, but you don't get to be innocent. Miss J, who, was the world renowned runway walking, teacher, that he was there to teach these girls how to walk. And no one corrected the guy. They were irritated with her. Right. Yeah. What did Tyra say? You could have been like, boy, stop. No, nigga, get off of me. Stop doing that. Get your tallywhacker off of me. She didn't do that. That's probably what I would have done. And I wouldn't have said tallywhacker. But yeah, no, they were irritated with her. Yeah, Tyra was like, oh, you could have just said, boy, stop. Why are we doing that? Why wouldn't we say, hey, keep your dick off the models. That's not what we're here for. But, we want to act like it wasn't, Jay, your hands clean. Miss J, I remember probably because she was my favorite, when Danielle says she didn't want to close her gap, Jay's response was, well, look like the gap is open for another girl to come in and win. So, to me, that was pressure. That was bullying this girl. And she ended up doing it, not all the way. Imagine how, let's go back to Danny. Look how beautiful this girl is. I didn't get a picture of her smiling. Her smile is beautiful. And so, yeah, she brought up the fact that a couple seasons later, they made a gap in the girl's teeth. Now it's popping. You can't be a cover girl. Hey, E-Troop. You can't be a cover girl with a gap in your teeth, follow up with a couple seasons later to, put an artificial gap in somebody's teeth. Child. Tyra dismisses her in front of the judges. She really didn't protect those girls at all. At all. At all. Miss J had a stroke. And I'll just touch on Nigel. Nigel appears in this world as a white man. So the things that they experienced, he wasn't going to identify with anyway. I think his mother is Indian, but he doesn't, he doesn't appear in this world with brown skin. He's a British man, British accent. So yeah, he's like, that's, he's also a man. All three of them are men. And I'm going to say this. Gay men can still be toxic masculine men. Just because they appear in this world as feminine, they are still men. And a lot of things, issues that relate to women, they are unaffected by or pretend like they don't notice or, downplay. It's not that big of a deal. I worked with I told y'all I had two previous owners of my salon. One of them, obviously gay because he has a husband. One of them had an incident where an older woman came in, and this woman was a white woman. She came in. It was, an issue with scheduling, blah, blah, blah. She was like, it's the holiday. She just came in and thought she was going to get more service. And he's like, I told you that, before I wasn't going to have time to this. So he's trying to explain to this lady. It's right before the holiday. She's like, you've got to color my hair because it's holiday. And when I tell you the 6 foot something man was hollering at this old lady at the top of her lungs, the top of his lungs, made everybody uncomfortable. And I was like, bruh, I don't care how gay you are. You're still a man. You're screaming at this lady. I don't care if she's dead wrong. If you're not going to do her hair, then don't do it. But the hollering and screaming was so uncomfortable for everyone. He agreed to do it. After all of that screaming, he agreed to do it. And in conversation with his husband, he Puerto Rican, husband Cuban, The Cuban man comes over and says, "Yeah, she's, you know how Jewish women are." And I was like, "What the hell does have to do with the price of tea in China?" So yeah, I feel like just because you're gay doesn't mean you can't be a toxic masculine. Yes, a lot of gay men are very misogynistic. I had another owner of a salon tell a woman, gay man, tell a woman the reason why people don't want to hire women is because they think y'all are just going to get pregnant and then, slow down the process of business. I was like, I'm pretty sure somewhere, there's an HR that wouldn't take that as, you know, the best. Who is it at Pacino Rule 752? I didn't see that, but welcome to the chat. Um, yeah, I feel like oh, there you are. I feel like Nigel was indifferent because his skin is not brown. But all of three of these guys, I think, played a part in helping Tyra, build this build this empire and helping assisting her in bullying these young women, all of you. So yeah, y'all have fallen out now. When they asked her about how she talked to Jay, so Jay got fired. Actually, Jay quit. Jay quit. This is wild. Jay Emanuel didn't like the way that this, after all these cycles of watching her bully women, all of a sudden, the one time that she does something that's going to make him look bad, he decides, I want out now. So he decides he wants to quit. She did not respond, and they're supposed to be besties. She did not respond, and he was, what did she say? He said she finally responded with, I'm disappointed. So clearly that wasn't your friend. And you've been kissing her ass all this time for no reason. And it was implied with a text message, I think he said from legal, that they needed him to stay for another cycle. And basically, if he didn't stay, he would be blackballed from the industry. And so, I mean, I feel like Tyra has a lot of power, especially, in the height of this season. After the season where they exploited Shandy, the show actually got more, spin-offs like in different countries. So exploiting that young girl who got nothing out of it, she ended up back at her hometown working at Walgreens, only to have people come call her a whore while she's checking them out. The boyfriend couldn't handle it, and they didn't end up together. And they may have not ended up together anyway, but nobody wants their relationship to end based on something so horrible. Why didn't either one of them pick up the phone? Good question. Because he's a punk. And I don't mean gay kind. I mean just in general. He's a punk. He didn't want to face her. He didn't want to have to deal with what was going to be said. I think it's important to have things in writing. But, I mean, okay, perfect example. Me and T started this together. I dragged her in over here. I was like, I want to do YouTube, but I think it'll be weird talking to myself. Will you come over here and do this with me? And she's like, sure, we do this all the time. Why not? But T has a full-time job and a football kid. So her schedule doesn't allow it. So we didn't text message each other. She was just like, hey, I can't fit this in my schedule, so I'll show up where I can. We didn't and I wasn't like, I'm disappointed. Like people that you care about, they got a right to live their life the way they want to live it. Why didn't they pick up the phone? Y'all are supposed to be best friends. Why didn't you say, hey, Tyra, this is a stupid idea. I don't think you should put these people in blackface. Why didn't you speak up then? There's so many other times that he could have spoke up. But this time, he broke up with his friend via text message, and they still haven't talked to each other. He was forced to come still work there, and then only for all three of them to get fired. And when they fired, I remember, so funny, my mother was like, what? They fired Miss J? Well, she's never going to succeed after this. And she wasn't wrong. Like the show went very much downhill after that because I think, there's only so much abuse you can watch. It just kept getting more and more and more, watching them like take pictures in graves, and they put that little girl in the grave right after her friend died. They was doing a lot over there. Miss J had a stroke. Couldn't talk, couldn't walk. He still can't walk. Nigel and Jay Manuel, of course, went over to check on him, and probably were there for him throughout his recovery. And to this day, Tyra sat up there like a psycho talking about, I should call Jay. I should go see Miss J. Don't bother. At this point, she said this happened in 2020. We in 26. It's been 6 years, and you haven't gone to see this man that like was a integral part of your success in this whole, series of Top Model. That says something about a person who can't take criticism from their friends. Jay Manuel likes to hear yes, not no. Um, I don't think, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's not easy to take criticism from anybody. I've personally, like, you know, I think it's human nature to get defensive. I mean, in the moment because you want to defend yourself for your bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But if you sit back and think about what was said, you have to like self reflect and be like, you know what, maybe he's right. Or have a conversation. Why do you think that? What can we do different? You know what I'm saying? There was a whole conversation that could have been had. Why can't we represent the countries with the women that look, we've got culturally different people here? You know what I'm saying? Why do we have to make the white one black and the black one white? Why are we doing that? Why can't we just let the people represent the culture, that they look like? We don't have to paint nobody's skin no way. And I don't think that was about that. Tyra's, all her challenges, when you look at them now, are about humiliation. And, she pick and choose. Like maybe Ebony reminded her too much of Naomi. You know what I'm saying? The queen of the catwalk. If you talk, even to this day, if you talk about who do you want, who is represented as the queen of the catwalk, who is the number one supermodel of all times, we know who it is. I don't care what you say. We know who it is. It's Naomi. So maybe this Miss Ebony reminded her too much of Naomi and she wanted to humiliate her. They called the girl ashy. Then she, was trying to oil her face in order to not be ashy. And then somebody told her, can you chill with the oil? It's making the doorknob oily. That's one of those haters that want to, I never understand. I guess, evil recognize evil, just like they say game recognize game. When I was teaching, I always wondered, why do y'all follow behind the student that's really not going to make it to the end? Why do you align yourself with this person that doesn't come to class? When they come to class, they're not doing shit. Iman, then Naomi. This is a thing. Okay, so I have a theory about that. Iman is definitely the queen of, and when it comes to fashion, she was the first. She was the trendsetter, and trendsetters generally don't get the kudos that they deserve. So yes, Iman opened the door, but Naomi rules the catwalk. And Naomi was there during that whole supermodel phase. Iman was there pre that. I think there was like in the 80s where these supermodels were created and they were in, music videos and things. And we started knowing women, we started knowing models by their names. Iman, we knew her by her name because she was breaking barriers. And her, Beverly Johnson, they were there, but they didn't get the same kind of notoriety that Naomi did. Iman is still beautiful. So yeah, I often just wonder why you want to follow behind the person that's clearly evil and not gonna make it far. And so yeah, there was somebody in there, that wanted to. And I remember Ebony, she's from New York, so she was very outspoken. And so I feel like her being outspoken, and then you had the two Christian girls in there that were like, "Oh my God, she's a lesbian," and I don't believe in that. So it was a setup to surround her around people that weren't going to really like her anyway. Um, yeah. So this lady never went to go see Miss J. He's still recovering. I think if I was him, I would be like, "Stay where you at." And after all of this, she sat up there at the end with that goofy ass face talking about, so let's continue this ride and look forward to cycle 25. I don't want it. I'm good. I don't need any more of Tyra. Um, Honestly, I feel the same way about her. It's not as bad as what Puff was over there doing, but it's still abuse of women. And these women, some of them, like I said, like Shandy will be traumatized. She ain't even get a chance to, she didn't even get a chance to process and deal with the fact that she had been dealing, that she was SA'd. So on top of that, she had to deal with the humiliation. Even now, she's doing this documentary and it's all come up again because that's the story. Shandy and Tiffany. And Tiffany, I feel like, you have people that are exposed and raised different ways. And so you take Tiffany, who was, in the hood in Miami, living with her grandmother. She came over there and told stories about the electricity being off. Tyra used that against her. Your mom, grandmama over there with the lights off. And you can't have expectations of somebody who comes from a certain place to behave a certain way without bringing them there. You know what I'm saying? Through training and education. And that's not what Tyra did. She did everything she could to use these people's insecurities against them. Um, yeah, it's right up there with all the Holly weird people. She's definitely Holly weird. And she has ran off to Australia and married herself to a Caucasian man. And she has a child and biracial child, so that child won't, I guess, have to deal with a lot of the negativities that goes along with being black. And yeah, I don't want to see Tyra no more, to be honest. So what did y'all think of the documentary? I thought the documentary was actually subpar. I don't think it was anything that we haven't seen before, but I think the most interesting thing to me, aside from I'm glad these girls got to say their truth for sure, but I feel like they've been saying it a lot. I've seen a lot of different, not even just the ones that were featured here. A lot of the girls that participated in America's Next Top Model, they've been in many places talking about how terrible Tyra is. You have a couple that won't say anything bad about her, but only because they have found success on the other side. Danny said that she couldn't get work because of being on the show. And is that because Tyra's a hater? Is that because Tyra didn't really want her to win, maybe, but the higher ups decided that Danny was going to be the one? So did she stand in the way of this girl's success? Because she should have been much bigger. You know what I'm saying? That she is. Eva and what's the other one? Y'all know who I'm talking about. Yaya. Eva and Yaya went on to have their own success, not as models, but as actresses. But Yaya came in there and was about to let them, when she cussed them out about that damn, I didn't pick the Kente cloth because it looked cheap. Y'all came in here with that fake shit and want me to go over there and pick it. Well, I ain't picked that. So Yaya came in there, very secure in who she was and wasn't about to let them, play with her like that. I don't know, like, do we need another model show? Are the models is all AI now? I don't know. I don't know that would be the right reality situation. Tyra don't get a redo because nobody's safe over there with her. Her main concern is herself. So yeah, cycle 25, we don't need it. We don't want it. And that's all I got for today, y'all. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to spend this weekend drinking tea. You don't know how bad I want to go rake my yard because it's a mess. So I'll probably put on a mask tomorrow to start cleaning it up again. And yeah, I'll see y'all Monday. Have a good weekend. Bye, y'all.